Admiral Krathix stood on the bridge of his massive warship and felt proud of what he saw. 200 ships floated in perfect formation around him. Each ship was powerful enough to destroy a planet. The Valorian Empire had conquered 47 star systems in just 3 years. No one could stop them. The humans were next on the list. The Admiral clicked his mandibles together in satisfaction. His 4 eyes scanned the tactical displays. Everything looked perfect. The human colony in this system would fall within days. Then the Empire would move deeper into human space. These newcomers had been quiet for too long. Intelligence said they were building something here. It did not matter. The Empire always won. Lieutenant Villan looked up from her station. She was the tactical officer. Her voice carried concern when she spoke. Admiral, our scouts report no human vessels within 10 light hours. The system appears empty. Krathix felt pleased. They run before they see us. Typical prey behavior? He turned to face his communications officer. His voice boomed across the bridge. Signal all ships. We advance to the inner system at first light. I want bombardment positions ready within 6 hours. Every alarm on the bridge started screaming at once. The sound was deafening. Red lights flashed everywhere. Officers scrambled to their stations. Villan's voice rose to a shriek. Contact! Unknown vessel. It appeared inside our formation. Distance is almost 0. It just materialized in the center of our fleet. Krathix felt his blood turn cold. He stared at the holographic display. Empty space had existed there just seconds ago. Now, a massive human warship floated there. It was surrounded on all sides by Valorian vessels. The ship was enormous. It was twice the size of his flagship. The hull was dark gray and seemed to absorb light. Strange angular surfaces covered the exterior. It looked less like a ship and more like a metal predator. How is this possible? Krathix whispered. His voice shook slightly. Our sensors detected nothing. No warp signature. No energy spike. Nothing at all. The human ship's running lights came on. Pale blue light bathed the nearest Valorian cruisers. On the hull were letters 3 stories tall. They spelled out a name. USS Democracy. Captain Kyle Brennan stood in the center of Democracy's bridge. His hands were clasped behind his back. He watched the Valorian fleet scramble on the displays. The stealth insertion had worked perfectly. For 6 hours his ship had drifted silently through the enemy formation. The experimental cloak had made them completely invisible. Now the cloak was down. Weapons were hot. They had complete surprise. All stations give me a status report, Kyle said calmly. Commander Lisa Park checked her displays. She was the executive officer. All weapon systems are online and locked. Shield generators are at full power. Engineering reports the cloak capacitors need 90 seconds to recharge if we need to disappear again. Tactical? Kyle asked. Lieutenant Jake Morris grinned from his station. Sir, we have firing solutions on every ship within 5,000 kilometers. The Valorians are panicking. Half of them are trying to get weapons lock. The other half are trying not to collide with each other. Kyle allowed himself a small smile. Helm, hold position. I want them to see exactly what they are dealing with. Communications, open a channel on all Valorian military frequencies. Ensign Claire Donovan looked up nervously. Channel open, sir. Kyle's voice echoed across 200 Valorian warships. His tone was firm and clear. Attention Valorian fleet. This is Captain Kyle Brennan of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered human-protected space with hostile intent. You will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Or you will be destroyed. You have 60 seconds to comply. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, Admiral Krathix listened to the ultimatum. He felt rage and disbelief mixed together. One ship. One single human ship surrounded by 200 of the Empire's finest warships was demanding his surrender. It was insane. It was insulting. Target that vessel, he snarled at his crew. His voice was filled with fury. All forward sections fire at will. 40 ships opened fire at once. Plasma bolts streaked through space. Kinetic projectiles flew from every angle. The combined firepower was enough to vaporize a small moon. All of it converged on the USS Democracy. Kyle watched the incoming fire on his displays. He nodded to Morris. "Return fire. Show them what a real warship can do." Democracy's shields flared brilliant blue. They absorbed the Valorian barrage. Not a single shot penetrated. Then the human battleship's weapons came online. Point defense lasers tracked and destroyed incoming missiles with surgical precision. Railgun turrets rotated smoothly. They acquired targets with computer-assisted accuracy. No organic gunner could match it. Then Democracy's main batteries spoke. Magnetic accelerators launched tungsten carbide slugs. Each projectile traveled at a significant fraction of light speed. Each one carried enough kinetic energy to punch through shields and hull plating like tissue paper. Missile pods opened along Democracy's flanks. Smart munitions weaved through the Valorian formation. They sought targets with predatory intelligence. 3 Valorian cruisers exploded in the first salvo. 2 more lost power and began tumbling through space. Their hulls were torn open to the vacuum. A destroyer simply broke in half. Its superstructure could not withstand the impact of a railgun round traveling at relativistic speeds. Kyle's voice remained calm. His tone did not change at all. "All ships, you now have 30 seconds to comply." The Valorian fleet had spent centuries as undefeated conquerors. Now they were learning a hard lesson. The humans did not build warships. They built weapons that happened to be ship-shaped. Those weapons were crewed by people who had spent their entire history perfecting the art of warfare. Admiral Krathix watched 5 more of his ships die in as many seconds. For the first time in his long military career, he felt true fear. This was not how battles were supposed to go. The Empire always won, always, but these humans fought with technology and precision that he had never seen before. "All ships concentrate fire on Grid 77 Alpha." He screamed into the communications array. His voice was desperate now. "Overload that creature's shields." The Valorian fleet adjusted their tactics. 100 ships poured everything they had into focused bombardment. The USS Democracy's shields blazed like a newborn star. They absorbed terawatts of energy. For a moment, Krathix felt hope rising in his chest. Surely no shield could withstand that much punishment. On Democracy's bridge, alarms wailed. The shield strength dropped to 82%. Commander Lisa Park monitored the power distribution carefully. Her fingers danced across her console. "Forward shields holding, but they are coordinating better now. If they maintain this focus, we will need to rotate shield facings in 40 seconds. Captain Kyle Brennan nodded. His expression remained calm. Time to teach them another lesson. Morris launched the Valkyries. "Aye, sir." Launching fighters. Hangar bays along Democracy's lower hull opened wide. 50 small craft erupted into space. The FA-91 Valkyrie space superiority fighters were sleek and deadly. Each one was piloted by a human whose reflexes were augmented by neural interfaces. They screamed into the Valorian formation at speeds that made tracking systems struggle. Flight leader Nathan Cole led Valkyrie Squadron directly into the teeth of the enemy fleet. His fighter's AI highlighted targets as they appeared. But Nathan relied on his instincts. Those instincts were honed through 1,000 combat simulations and a dozen real engagements. All Valkyrie's weapons free. Pick your targets and make them count. The fighters split up. Each one weaved through the massive Valorian warships like piranhas attacking whales. Their plasma cannons might not be powerful enough to destroy a capital ship alone, but they could cripple sensors. They could destroy weapon emplacements. They could sow chaos. And chaos was exactly what the humans needed. A Valorian battlecruiser loomed ahead of Nathan's fighter. Its point defense systems tracked him. Streams of tracer fire filled the space he had occupied milliseconds before. Nathan rolled his Valkyrie inverted. He cut thrust and let momentum carry him past the enemy ship's ventral hull. As he passed underneath, he released a full spread of armor-piercing missiles into the ship's engineering section. Secondary explosions rippled across the battlecruiser's hull. "That's one assist," Nathan muttered. He was already searching for his next target. His neural interface fed him information faster than conscious thought could process. Admiral. Graphics watched his tactical display descend into chaos. The human fighters were everywhere at once. They were too small and too fast for his capital ships to target effectively, but they were deadly enough to cripple his vessels one system at a time. And the human battleship continued its methodical destruction. Each shot was placed with impossible precision. The space around the gas giant became a graveyard. Wreckage from shattered Valorian warships tumbled through the void. Debris and bodies trailed behind them. Admiral Graphics gripped the command console so hard his chitin cracked. In less than 2 minutes, the human battleship had destroyed or disabled 23 of his vessels. His ship had taken no apparent damage at all. "All ships concentrate fire on Grid 77 Alpha," he screamed into his communicator. His voice was raw with desperation. "Overload the creature's shields." The Valorian fleet adjusted formation again. 100 ships poured everything they had into focused bombardment. The USS Democracy's shields blazed with absorbed energy. They glowed like a newborn star. Terawatts of power slammed into the protective barrier. For a moment, Graphics felt hope. Surely no shield could withstand that much punishment for long. On Democracy's bridge, alarms wailed throughout the ship. The shield strength dropped to 82%. Commander Lisa Park monitored the power distribution with focused attention. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. "Forward shields holding, but they are coordinating better now. If they maintain this focus, we will need to rotate shield facings in 40 seconds. Captain Kyle Brennan nodded once. His expression remained perfectly calm. Time to teach them another lesson. Morris launched the Valkyries. Aye, sir. Launching fighters now. Hangar bays along Democracy's lower hull opened wide to space. 50 small craft erupted into the void. The FA-91 Valkyrie space superiority fighters were sleek and deadly looking. Each one was piloted by a human whose reflexes were enhanced by neural interfaces. They screamed into the Valorian formation at speeds that made even advanced targeting systems struggle to track them properly. Flight leader Nathan Cole led Valkyrie Squadron directly into the teeth of the enemy fleet. His fighter's AI highlighted targets as they appeared on his display. But Nathan relied on his own instincts. Those instincts were honed through 1,000 combat simulations and a dozen real engagements against live enemies. All Valkyrie's weapons free? Pick your targets and make them count. The fighters split up into attack formations. Each one weaved through the massive Valorian warships like piranhas attacking whales. Their plasma cannons might not be powerful enough to destroy a capital ship alone, but they could cripple sensors easily. They could destroy weapon emplacements with precision. They could sow chaos throughout the enemy formation. And chaos was exactly what the humans needed right now. A Valorian battlecruiser loomed ahead of Nathan's fighter. The massive ship filled his entire field of vision. Its point defense systems tracked him with mechanical precision. Streams of tracer fire filled the space he had occupied milliseconds before. Nathan rolled his Valkyrie inverted with a sharp movement. He cut thrust completely and let momentum carry him past the enemy ship's ventral hull. As he passed underneath at high speed, he released a full spread of armor, piercing missiles directly into the ship's engineering section. Secondary explosions rippled across the battlecruiser's hull in sequence. Orange flames briefly flared in the vacuum before dying. "That's one assist," Nathan muttered to himself. He was already searching for his next target. His neural interface fed him information faster than conscious thought could process it all. Admiral. Graphics watched his tactical display descend into complete chaos. The human fighters were everywhere at once. They moved too fast and were too small for his capital ships to target effectively, but they were deadly enough to cripple his vessels one system at a time. And the human battleship continued its methodical destruction. Each shot was placed with impossible precision. Nothing was wasted. Admiral, Velan called out from her station. Her voice carried panic. We are receiving retreat signals from the 4th and 7th battle groups. They are requesting permission to withdraw immediately. Denied, Krathix roared. His voice echoed through the bridge. Any ship that retreats will be branded as cowards. Their crews will be executed. We outnumber them 200 to 1. Even as he said the words, he knew the numbers meant nothing. The humans fought with coordination and technological superiority that the Empire had never encountered before. Every Valorian advantage was being systematically negated. Speed did not matter. Numbers did not matter. Firepower did not matter. The humans had answers to everything. A proximity alarm blared suddenly. The sound cut through all other noise. One of the human fighters was making a direct run on the Eternal Dominion itself. It was heading straight for the bridge tower. Lieutenant Sophie Grant had broken off from her squadron for a specific reason. She had studied the Valorian fleet composition during their approach to the battle zone. She recognized the flagship by its size and the way other ships deferred to it in formation. If she could knock out their command ship even temporarily, the already chaotic Valorian coordination would collapse entirely. Her Valkyrie screamed toward the Eternal Dominion at maximum acceleration. Point defense fire filled space with deadly light. Sophie's hands danced across her controls with practiced precision. Her neural interface fed her information faster than conscious thought. Targeting lock achieved. Solution calculated. Weapons hot and ready. Special delivery for the Admiral, she whispered to herself. Then she launched her entire payload of bunker buster missiles directly at the bridge tower. The missiles were designed to crack planetary fortifications. They slammed into the Eternal Dominion's bridge tower in rapid sequence. Shields flared bright white and failed catastrophically. Armor plating vaporized under the intense heat. The last missile punched through the weakened defenses and detonated inside the command center itself. Admiral Krathix's world became fire and pain. The explosion threw him completely across the bridge. He felt his carapace crack under the impact. He felt the searing heat of burning atmosphere. Through fading vision, he saw stars through a massive hull breach. The breach was where his bridge view screen had been just moments ago. Emergency bulkheads were slamming down throughout the ship, but it was far too late. Half his command crew was dead or dying around him. As consciousness fled from his broken body, his last thought was one of bitter understanding. The humans had not brought one ship because they were arrogant fools. They had brought one ship because one ship was all they needed to defeat his entire fleet. Captain Kyle Brennan watched the Valorian flagship tumble out of formation on his display. Debris and atmosphere trailed behind it. Cease fire on the flagship. Tactical, give me a status report on the enemy fleet. Jake Morris studied his displays carefully. His eyes tracked multiple data streams. They are breaking, sir. Command and control has completely collapsed. 37 ships destroyed outright. 41 ships disabled and drifting. And the rest are starting to... Yes, confirmed. The remaining ships are powering down weapons and activating distress beacons. They are surrendering to us. The bridge erupted in cheers. Crew members hugged each other. Some were crying with relief. Lisa Park allowed herself a rare smile. Her normally stern expression softened. Sir, we have done it. We have broken an entire Valorian battle fleet with a single ship. Kyle nodded slowly, but his expression remained serious and thoughtful. Yes, we won this battle, but the Valorians will learn from this defeat. They will adapt their tactics. And when they come back, they will come with everything they have. He turned to Claire at the communications station. Send a message to Earth Command immediately. Tell them we have secured the Tyro system. Tell them the Valorians now know humanity is not prey to be hunted. As the message traveled faster than light toward Earth, the USS Democracy hung in space. She was surrounded by the wreckage of an empire's arrogance. The survivors in the Valorian ships looked at the human battleship with a new emotion. It was an emotion their species had not felt in centuries of conquest. Fear. In the hours following the battle, The USS Democracy maintained position at the center of the debris field. What had once been the pride of the Valorian fleet was now scattered wreckage. Rescue operations were underway, but they were not happening in the way Admiral Krathix would have expected. Human shuttles moved through the wreckage with purpose. They pulled Valorian survivors from disabled ships. They administered medical aid to the wounded aliens. Captain Kyle Brennan walked through Democracy's medical bay. He observed the strange scene unfolding before him. Human doctors and medics worked alongside hastily established triage areas. Wounded Valorian warriors lay on makeshift beds designed for human physiology. The aliens watched their human captors with obvious confusion and fear. They expected execution or torture. Instead, they received bandages and pain medication. Dr. Helen Wright looked up from treating a Valorian soldier. The alien had a badly burned carapace. Captain, we are running low on universal coagulants. These people have completely different biochemistry than what we are used to treating. Do what you can, Doctor. I have authorized opening our emergency medical reserves. Kyle paused beside a Valorian officer. The alien was watching him with 4 unblinking eyes. How are you feeling? The alien's translator device crackled to life. The voice was weak. Why? Why do you save us? We came here to destroy you and your people. Kyle considered the question carefully. His expression was thoughtful. Because that is what humans do. We fight hard when we must. But we do not. On the bridge, Commander Lisa Park was coordinating the rescue efforts when a priority message came through from Earth Command. She read it twice to make sure she understood correctly. Then she called for the captain immediately. Kyle returned to find his senior staff gathered around the main display. Their faces were grim. What is it? He asked. Lisa's expression was serious. Sir, long-range sensors have detected a second Valorian fleet entering the sector. This one is much bigger than the first. Intelligence estimates at least 400 ships. They include Dreadnought-class vessels. They will be here in 36 hours. The bridge fell completely silent. Everyone processed the information. Jake Morris broke the silence first. His voice was quiet. Sir, we cannot fight those numbers. Even with our technological advantage, there is a limit to what one ship can do against that many enemies. Kyle studied the tactical projection carefully. The incoming Valorian fleet was massive. It was clearly assembled in response to what had happened here. The Empire was done underestimating humanity. We need reinforcements. How long until the nearest Earth Defense Force ships can reach our position? 48 hours minimum, Lisa replied. Her tone was frustrated. The Third Fleet is the closest, but they are still on patrol near Proxima. We will be facing that armada alone for at least 12 hours before any help arrives. Nathan Cole had been invited to the meeting as the senior fighter squadron leader. He leaned forward in his chair. Captain, we bloodied their nose once. Maybe we can do it again? Hit them the same way. Decloak in the middle of their formation like before? They will be ready for that now, Kyle said firmly. They will have adjusted their sensor arrays. They will have changed their formation patterns. The element of surprise will not work twice against a prepared enemy. He looked around at his officers. Each face showed exhaustion and worry. But we are not running away. Earth Command has made it clear. This system is the line we hold. If the Valorians push through here, they have a clear path to 3 colony worlds. We cannot let that happen to those innocent people. Lieutenant Sophie Grant was also present for the briefing. She spoke up with concern. Sir, what about the prisoners? We have rescued nearly 2,000 Valorian crew members. If another fight starts, they will be caught in the crossfire. We will transfer them to the disabled Valorian ships that still have life support, Kyle decided quickly. Give them supplies and medical care? Let them wait out the battle safely. I will not use prisoners as shields. And I will not execute them like they expected us to. Lisa pulled up another display. It showed medical data. Captain, there is one more thing. Admiral Krathix survived the assault on his flagship. Our medical team stabilized him. He has been asking to speak with you personally. Kyle raised an eyebrow. Has he? That is interesting. All right, I will hear what he has to say. The brig where the Valorian Admiral was being held was located deep in Democracy's armored core. Krathix lay on a bed designed for humans. His large frame barely fit on the narrow surface. Medical equipment monitored his vital signs with steady beeps. His carapace was cracked and burned. One of his forearms was immobilized in a regeneration field. When Kyle entered the cell, the alien's eyes tracked him with surprising alertness. Krathix should have been unconscious from his injuries, but he was awake and watching. "Human captain," Krathix said through his translator. The voice was weak but clear. "You have done something no species has done in 3,000 years. You have defeated the Valorian Empire in open battle." "Yes," Kyle said simply. "And I am prepared to do it again when your reinforcements arrive here." Krathix made a sound that might have been laughter or pain. "You think you can repeat your victory? You are a fool. The fleet coming for you is led by Grand Marshal Tevrix. She is the Empire's finest military mind. She will not make the mistakes I made. Your stealth technology will not surprise her. Your single ship will not be enough this time." "Maybe not," Kyle admitted honestly. "But we will make her pay dearly for every meter of space she takes. That is what humans do, Admiral. We fight even when the odds are against us." "I am beginning to understand this," Krathix said quietly. His eyes showed something like respect. "In your medical bay, I watched your healers save Valorian lives. They gave the same care they give their own wounded. This is not the behavior of a prey species. This is not even the behavior of a predator species." His eyes fixed on Kyle with intensity. "What are you humans, really?" Kyle thought about the question for a long moment. "We are a species that has known war our entire history. We have fought each other. We have killed each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. But we learned something from all that pain and suffering. We learned that strength without mercy is just cruelty. And we learned that the strongest warriors are the ones who know when to stop fighting." He turned to leave the cell. Then he paused at the door. "Rest, Admiral. When this is over, maybe your empire will learn the same lesson we did." As Kyle walked back to the bridge, he felt the weight of what was coming. Another battle with longer odds. This time there would be no tricks to even the field. Just his crew and his ship. Just their determination to protect the innocent. It would have to be enough. 36 hours passed in a blur of constant preparation. The USS Democracy underwent rapid repairs. Her crew worked around the clock to patch damaged systems and replenish munitions. Kyle authorized the transfer of all Valorian prisoners to their own disabled vessels. He provided them with enough supplies to survive for weeks if necessary. It was a calculated risk. Freeing up space and personnel was important. But it also meant removing any moral leverage the incoming Valorian fleet might try to use against them. Lieutenant Jake Morris barely slept during the preparation period. He ran simulation after simulation on his tactical computer. He tried to find some advantage against 400 enemy warships. Every scenario ended the same way. Democracy was destroyed or forced to retreat. The mathematics were brutal and completely unforgiving. "You look terrible," Commander Lisa Park said. She entered the tactical planning room with 2 cups of coffee in her hands. Jake accepted one gratefully. He took a long drink. "I keep running the numbers. They do not get any better, no matter what I try. Even if we account for our technological edge, we are looking at odds of at least 20 to 1. The Valkyries can help. But fighter craft can only do so much against capital ships. We held them off before," Lisa said. "Because they were not ready for us? This time they will be." Jake pulled up a new display. It showed intercepted enemy communications. "Look at this formation intelligence gathered from their transmissions. They are coming in a defensive sphere. Sensors are overlapping everywhere. There are no gaps for us to exploit like last time. And they are bringing ECM ships, electronic countermeasure vessels designed specifically to counter stealth technology. They have adapted, Lisa. They have learned from their mistakes." Lisa studied the projection in silence for several seconds. Finally, she spoke. Then we will have to learn faster than them. Kyle has been working on something. He has been locked in his ready room for the past 6 hours. He is working with Engineering Chief Paul Martinez and the AI division on some kind of plan. In his ready room, Captain Kyle Brennan stared at a 3-dimensional hologram. It showed democracy's internal systems in detail. Chief Martinez was a grizzled veteran with gray hair and oil-stained hands. He highlighted various sections as he spoke with enthusiasm. The cloak system draws enormous power, Captain. We can run it for about 6 hours at full efficiency. Then we need to recharge the capacitors. But I have been thinking about something. What if we did not use it for stealth this time? Kyle leaned forward with interest. Go on, Chief. The cloak works by bending sensor waves around our hull. That makes us invisible to their detection systems. But if we reverse the polarity and overload the emitters, we could create massive sensor ghosts. We could make it look like there are dozens of ships where there is really only one. It would drain our capacitors in minutes, and we would be completely visible while doing it. But the Valorians would not know which target was real and which was fake. A shell game, Kyle said slowly. Understanding dawned on his face. With battleships instead of cups? Exactly, Captain. Combine that with our fighter squadrons and we could create enough confusion to avoid being focus fired. At least for a while anyway. Kyle considered it carefully. How long would the effect last before they figured it out? 15, maybe 20 minutes before the emitters burn out completely. And Captain, if we do this, we will not be able to cloak again. The system will be permanently fried. Then we had better make those 20 minutes count. Kyle stood and offered his hand. Make it happen, Chief. I want that system ready before the Valorians arrive here. On the bridge, the final countdown began with tension filling the air. Sensors detected the Valorian fleet at the edge of the system. They were more massive than intelligence had predicted. Not 400 ships, but nearly 500 vessels. The display showed dreadnoughts and battlecruisers and carriers and destroyers. It was an entire armada assembled for one purpose: to crush the humans completely. Claire Donovan's voice was steady despite her obvious fear. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Valorian fleet. It is directed specifically to you. Put it through, Kyle said calmly. The main screen shimmered and changed. A new Valorian appeared on the display. Unlike Admiral Krathix, this one had deep blue coloring on her carapace. She wore ornate battle armor that gleamed. Her 4 eyes regarded Kyle with cold intelligence and calculation. I am Grand Marshal Tevrix of the Valorian Imperial Fleet. You are Captain Kyle Brennan, the human who humiliated our forces. I am the one who defended human space from invasion, Kyle corrected firmly. There is a difference between those two things. Your semantics are irrelevant to me. You will surrender your vessel immediately. Or we will destroy you and proceed to eliminate every human colony in this sector. You have my word that if you surrender, your crew will be treated according to the laws of warfare. Kyle almost laughed at the absurdity. Your empire does not get to invade our territory and then offer us the courtesy of a quick execution. Here is my counteroffer, Grand Marshal. Turn your fleet around and leave this system. This space is under human protection, and we will defend it with everything we have. Tevrix's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. 1 ship against 500. Your bravery is noted, human, but it borders on madness. You cannot win this battle. Maybe not, Kyle admitted without hesitation. But I can make you pay such a heavy price that your empire will think twice before invading human space again. Every ship you lose here is 1 less ship your empire has to threaten anyone else with. So yes, Grand Marshal, I will fight. And I will make you remember the name USS Democracy. The transmission ended abruptly. Tevrix's expression had shifted from amusement to something resembling respect before the screen went. Lisa turned to Kyle with wide eyes. Sir, that was either the bravest thing I have ever heard or the craziest thing possible. Probably both, Kyle said. He settled into his command chair. All hands report to battle stations. Helm position us between the Valorian fleet and the inner system. Tactical activate Chief Martinez's sensor ghost protocol. Fighter wings prepare to launch immediately. Today we show the galaxy what one human warship can do when pushed to the limit. The Valorian armada advanced like an approaching storm. They blotted out the stars with their sheer numbers. On 500 bridges, Valorian warriors prepared for battle. They expected an easy victory this time. They had no idea what was about to happen to them. As the USS Democracy's modified cloak emitters activated the Valorian, sensors went completely wild. Suddenly, instead of one human battleship, there appeared to be 30 identical vessels. Each one looked exactly the same. Each one broadcast the same energy signature. The sensor ghosts surrounded the real Democracy in a defensive formation. It looked terrifyingly like an entire human fleet had arrived on the bridge of her flagship. Infinite Glory Grand Marshal Teverick stared at the impossible sight. "What trickery is this?" she demanded. Her sensor officer's voice was uncertain and confused. "Grand Marshal, I am reading 30 human battleships, but the energy signatures are fluctuating strangely. It could be a sensor illusion, or it could be real ships." "Could be?" Teverick's voice was dangerous and sharp. "I need certainty, officer. Not speculation about possibilities. I do not know which ones are real, Grand Marshal. I cannot tell them apart." Teverick's made a quick decision. "It does not matter anymore. Target all of them. Weapons range in 40 seconds. All ships spread targeting across all contacts. Destroy them all." Kyle watched the Valorian fleet split its attention across all 30 ghost images. It is working exactly as planned. They are dividing their fire. "Morris, the moment they shoot, I want full evasive maneuvers. Make them chase shadows." "Aye, sir." "Ready on your command." The first Valorian volley illuminated space with deadly light. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward all 30 targets at once. Most passed harmlessly through the ghost images. They hit nothing but empty space. But a significant portion converged on Democracy's actual position. Those shots were real and deadly. "Evasive pattern Delta now," Lisa called out urgently. Democracy's helmsman, Lieutenant Greg Foster, threw the massive battleship into a maneuver that should have been impossible. Ships this size were not supposed to move like fighters. Enhanced inertial dampeners kept the crew from being turned into paste. The vessel dodged and weaved through the incoming fire with impossible grace. Simultaneously, the Valkyrie squadrons launched from the hangar bays. They added to the chaos immediately. Nathan Cole led his fighters in a coordinated strike against the Valorian screening vessels. The enemy had to choose between targeting the sensor ghosts or defending themselves against the nimble human fighters. "Valkyries away," Sophie Grant called over the communication channel. "All wings Fox 3. Light them up." The battle descended into complete pandemonium. The Valorians kept firing at ghosts and wasting precious ammunition and time. Democracy used the confusion to unleash devastating counterattacks. Her railguns and missiles picked off targets with brutal efficiency. The sensor ghosts moved in perfect synchronization with the real ship. They created a dance of deadly confusion that the Valorians could not counter, but it could not last forever. Already the ghost images were beginning to flicker and fade. The overloaded emitters were beginning to fail under the strain. And the Valorian fleet, though confused, was beginning to adapt to the new situation. Grand Marshal Teverick studied the battle with growing frustration. She also felt grudging admiration despite herself. The human captain was resourceful. She had to give him that much credit. But resources had limits, and her fleet had barely begun to fight with its full strength. "All ships," she commanded firmly. "Focus fire on grid sectors 1 through 30. If we cannot identify the real ship, we will simply destroy everything in that space. Blanket bombardment at maximum firepower." The order went out across 500 ships. The Valorian fleet adjusted their tactics. They began coordinating a bombardment pattern. It would saturate the entire volume of space where Democracy operated. Every cubic meter would be filled with deadly fire. On Democracy's bridge alarms began screaming throughout the ship. The ghost emitters finally failed completely. The illusion vanished like smoke in the wind. Now there was just one human battleship, alone against an entire armada. Shields at 60% and dropping fast, Lisa called out. Her voice was strained, hull temperature rising. Captain, they are going to burn us down. Kyle gripped his armrest tightly. His mind raced through options. They had bought time with the trick. They had inflicted significant damage on the enemy. But the mathematics of warfare were catching up to them. Democracy was powerful, but she was not invincible. Against this much concentrated firepower they would eventually fail. Then Jake Morris looked up from his display. An expression of hope spread across his face. Captain, sensors are detecting new contacts. Coming in fast from Vector 270. It is the Third Fleet. They are early. Kyle felt relief flood through his entire body. How many ships? 43 vessels, sir. Led by the carrier USS Independence? They will be in weapons range in 3 minutes. Kyle activated the fleet-wide communication channel. All ships, this is democracy. We have held the line against impossible odds. Now our reinforcements are here. Let us show the Valorians what a real human fleet can do when we fight together. For Earth. The response came back from 43 ships at once. Their voices joined together. For Earth. The tide of battle was about to turn in humanity's favor. The arrival of the Third Fleet transformed the battlefield completely. 43 fresh human warships dropped out of faster-than-light transit. They appeared at the edge of the combat zone. Their weapons were already charging as they emerged. The carrier USS Independence launched an additional 120 Valkyrie fighters immediately. This tripled the number of small craft harassing the Valorian formation. Destroyers and cruisers moved with coordinated precision. Their crews had studied democracy's battle tactics during their approach. Captain Kyle. Brennan watched his tactical display reorganize. The fleet integration protocols activated automatically. Communications, get me a link to Admiral Carter on the Independence. The holographic image of Admiral Patricia Carter appeared beside his command chair. The 60-year-old woman had salt and pepper hair. She had the weathered look of someone who had spent 40 years in space. Captain Brennan, hell of a fight you have been having. My compliments to you and your crew. Thank you, Admiral. Happy to see you here. Though I was told you would be another 12 hours away. Carter smiled grimly. We pushed our engines past safety limits. Chief Engineer nearly had a heart attack, but he got us here on time. Now let us finish this fight. I am uploading tactical coordination patterns to your ship right now. Democracy has taken a serious beating. I am reassigning you to the fleet's second line. You have earned a breather. Kyle wanted to argue with the order, but he knew she was right. Democracy's shields were depleted. Her hull was scarred with burn marks everywhere. Her crew was exhausted beyond measure. Acknowledged, Admiral. We will provide fire support and coordinate with the fighter wings. Good man. All ships, this is Admiral Carter. The Valorians came here expecting easy prey. Let us teach them the same lesson Captain Brennan already started. Weapons free. Show them what the United Earth Defense Force can do. The human fleet moved forward as one coordinated organism. Unlike the Valorian formation, which relied on overwhelming numbers, the UEDF ships fought with synchronized precision. Point defense networks overlapped perfectly. They created interlocking fields of fire that vaporized incoming ordnance. Railgun barrages were timed to arrive simultaneously from multiple vectors. They overwhelmed enemy shields through coordinated strikes rather than simple bombardment. Grand Marshal Tevrix watched her tactical display with growing concern. The arrival of human reinforcements had turned what should have been a simple mop-up operation into a genuine fleet engagement. And the humans fought with a cohesion that her own commanders struggled to match. Grand Marshal, her tactical officer reported urgently, we have lost 19 ships in the past 4 minutes. The human vessels are concentrating fire on our screening elements. They are destroying our lighter ships first. They are trying to strip away our defensive layers. Tevrix observed. Smart tactics. Conventional doctrine would be to target the largest threats first. She studied the battlefield carefully. Her fleet still had significant numerical superiority, but the humans were negating that advantage through superior coordination and technology. At this rate of attrition, her fleet would be crippled within the hour. Grand Marshal. Another officer's voice was urgent. The damaged human battleship. The one called Democracy. It is moving toward our flagship position. Tevrix's eyes narrowed as she watched. The scarred human vessel was breaking from the fleet formation. It headed directly toward her position. Is their captain mad? Their shields are nearly depleted. They will be destroyed. On Democracy's bridge, Kyle had made his decision. He was going against Admiral Carter's orders. Helm full speed toward the Valorian flagship. Tactical plot firing solutions on every ship between us and the infinite glory. I want a corridor burned through their lines. Lisa turned to him with concern. Sir Admiral Carter ordered us to the second line. If we push this deep into their formation, we will be surrounded. The Valorian command structure is hierarchical, Kyle interrupted. Everything flows from the top. If we can force Tevrix to withdraw or disable her flagship, their entire fleet coordination will collapse into chaos. It is worth the risk. It is suicide, Jake said flatly. His voice was blunt and honest. Then it is a good thing we are hard to kill. Kyle activated ship-wide communications. All hands, this is the captain. I know you are exhausted. I know we have been through hell already today. But I am asking you for one more push. We are going after their flagship. We are going to make the Valorian Grand Marshal herself flinch. Engineering, give me everything you have got. Weapons fire at will. All departments, this is what we trained for. Let us show them why Earth does not surrender. The crew's response came not in words but in action. The exhausted engineers coaxed more power from overtaxed reactors. The weapons crews maintained a blistering rate of fire despite their fatigue. And Democracy charged forward into the teeth of the enemy fleet. She moved like a wounded lion that refused to stop fighting. Nathan, Cole, and Sophie Grant led their fighter squadrons in close escort. Their Valkyries cleared a path through the smaller Valorian ships. All wings form up on Democracy, Nathan commanded. Anyone who wants a shot at that battleship goes through us first. The human fighters swarmed around Democracy like angry hornets protecting their nest. Their plasma cannons and missiles created a protective envelope. Valorian interceptors tried to engage them, but the human pilots were operating in a state of flow. Their neural interfaces allowed them to react faster than conscious thought. Democracy's main guns fired continuously. Each shot was precisely calculated. A destroyer exploded as a railgun round punched through its reactor core. A heavy cruiser tumbled away helplessly. Its propulsion section was sheared off by a missile barrage. The Valorian ships tried to concentrate fire on the attacking battleship, but Democracy's point defense network, supplemented by the escorting fighters, created a deadly shield of intercepting fire. Admiral Carter watched from the Independence with mixed emotions. She felt admiration and horror at the same time. That crazy son of a gun? He's actually pulling it off. All ships support Democracy's attack run. Cover their advance. The human fleet surged forward. They used Democracy's bold strike as the spearhead. The Valorian formation, already stressed by the coordinated human attacks, began to fracture. Ships moved to intercept the attacking battleship. They broke their defensive patterns in the process. Grand Marshal Tevrix felt something she had not experienced in decades: uncertainty. The human battleship was coming straight for her position. Despite everything her fleet was throwing at it, the vessel kept coming. She watched as Democracy destroyed another two of her ships. Now they were less than 5,000 kilometers away. All nearby vessels form a defensive wall around the infinite glory, she commanded firmly. That human captain wants to face me personally. We will grant him that honor. Then we will destroy him. But as 20 Valorian warships moved to protect their flagship, they created gaps in the fleet formation. Gaps that Admiral Carter's forces immediately exploited. Human ships poured through the openings like water. They spread into the Valorian rear areas. The organized armada turned into a confused melee. Kyle saw the infinite glory ahead surrounded by its protective screen. Democracy's shields were at 15%. Her hull plating was glowing from heat stress. Half her weapon systems were offline. But they had made it to their target. "Target the flagship's command tower," he ordered. "Fire everything we have left." Democracy's final volley was magnificent to behold. Every operational weapon on the battered battleship fired simultaneously. Railgun slugs and missiles and laser batteries all converged. They all focused on the Infinite Glory's bridge section. The Valorian flagship's shields flared brilliantly. They absorbed the punishment for several seconds. But then they failed catastrophically. The final railgun rounds punched through the tower's armor plating. They tore through decks and bulkheads like paper. On the Infinite Glory's bridge, Tevrix was thrown from her command station. Explosions rippled through the superstructure around her. Emergency systems kicked in automatically. They sealed breaches throughout the ship, but the damage was already done. Her command center was completely wrecked. Her communication systems were offline. Her ability to coordinate the fleet was destroyed. As backup systems struggled to come online, Tevrix accessed the battle display. She used a secondary terminal that still functioned. What she saw made her finally understand something. Her empire had underestimated these humans so badly, the Valorian fleet was breaking apart. Without her coordinating presence, individual commanders were making their own decisions. Most of those decisions involved immediate retreat. Ships were pulling back everywhere. They fled to safe jump distances. They abandoned the battle completely. In less than an hour, the humans had turned 500 ships into a panicked mob and through it all that one human battleship hung in space. The democracy floated there like a defiant monument. Broken and burning, but still intact. Still fighting even now? Tevrix activated her emergency communications with difficulty. "All ships, this is the Grand Marshal. Cease offensive operations immediately. Withdraw to Rally Point Theta. We are retreating." The order was perhaps the hardest one she had ever given. But it was necessary for survival. To continue fighting would only waste more Li.